using thanks, Julia. Good one. Did you guys hear this? It's recording the Zoom now. So that's a good one. Okay, so are we streaming to YouTube as well?
No, the streaming to YouTube at the same time isn't working, unfortunately. So
Done.
I'm hoping our YouTubey people will be able
How
to
good is
find us.
technology when you can't rely on
It's
it,
so
hey?
frustrating. The things that annoys me the most is it works one week and then you do exactly the same thing the next and suddenly it doesn't work again. So that's irritating me. But
Anyway,
anyway, that's kind
okay.
of by the
So
by.
yes.
Let's talk about dogs, which are much nicer.
Yeah. So what we want to do, yeah, sorry, Emma, she was waiting on YouTube. We've been struggling to,
It's a
there's
nightmare,
16
Emma.
on YouTube waiting. Darren, Darren.
Hmm.
What can we do to get them?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Shall can I stream from here? No, I can't. I'm in your room.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'll pop onto YouTube and see if I can sort it out. So,
Yeah.
go.
Okay. So in the meantime, what I want to say was that what we want to talk about sort of four categories of behaviors, and that categorization is arbitrary. I mean, it made sense, right? And we've seen it used before, and it kind of made sense to us. There might be more groupings, or I'm sure, there could be many more groupings. So please, nothing is really cast in stone. But what we have in mind is we want to talk a bit about stress and arousal behaviors, displacement behaviors, and then behaviors that dogs use to get more distance between themselves and something that's worrying or stressing them. And then also behaviors that they use to make the distance smaller. And that includes root behaviors. And then we also want to talk about how we as humans can use similar body language to support our dogs. So today, we're just going to talk about two of these categories. But before we do that, we'd like to talk a bit about the traffic light system. How are you doing there, Julia? Is there something?
No, I'm going to have to just write a little note to people.
Okay.
It's yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is same.
Yeah.
So traffic light system, everybody familiar with that? What I mean when I say the traffic light system? It's a useful framework that we can use to decide when our dogs need more space. Yeah, yes, SK, exactly. Marcy says yes after seeing your graphic. Awesome. Lorraine says no, please explain. Wendy says yes. Yeah, we're gonna explain it a little bit. Um, okay, super. Theresa saw our email. Okay, that's great. And Kay agrees. It's very helpful. Yeah, so we all know that when our dogs get over aroused about something or scared, and then as a consequence overreact, give us all these behaviors that we don't want. Distance is always our friend, right? We need to get away. So um, how and when do we decide that it's time to move on? That's what the traffic light system is all about. It would be awesome, Julia, if you could share that
Share the
slide.
old thing. I'm just wondering if there we go. So, put it in full screen. Trying to do
So we
far too
call it the
many.
traffic light system because we use red, green, and amber. No?
So, there we
Okay.
go. There you are.
There we go. That's the traffic light. systems. So we have certain behaviors that tell us that our dog is redlining or they're in the red. We have certain behaviors that indicate that they, really feeling super relaxed and are totally fine. And then there are also behaviors that indicate that our dog needs help. They're starting to show some signs of arousal or avoidance, right? So it's all about changes in their body language. And usually the green and the red are pretty obvious, right? You know when your dog is in the green, you know when your dog is in the red, right? Give me can I have a tomato if you know when your dog is overreacting? Dog is in the red, put in a tomato. And if if you can describe easily what your dog looks like, if you're able to imagine what your dog is looking like when they are relaxed and in the green, then give us an apple. Or maybe a clover, green for clover. Yeah. Okie dokes. Alison shared a tomato. Marcy shared a tomato. It's pretty obvious, hey? Yep. Ears up, tail stiff, red. It often goes, yeah, the tomatoes, I mean, the redlining behaviors are really easy to see. How about the green? Katrina, yes. Yes, thanks, Emma. Yeah, the green and the red are pretty obvious. Super. Lots of tomatoes, lots of clovers. Anybody not sure when their dog is relaxed? What could that be? I didn't anticipate that one. Yeah, Theresa says ears are soft, relaxed. And Emma says the needs help part is hard for me. Yep. That's probably true for most people. When your dog is flashing amber, how well do you know that? Give us an orange in the comment if you know when your dog is flashing amber, and give us a pineapple when that's the hard one. So you don't know that it's amber, that would be a pineapple, and you're pretty good at recognizing the amber, that would be an orange. Okay, we have one orange, one pineapple. Teresa says your dog sometimes stops. Yeah. Oranges, oranges. And quite a few pineapple. And Emma's dog goes from green to red in a flash. Yeah. Super, we're getting lots of pineapples. Okie dokes. So, the thing with the moving really quickly from green into red, that can be the reason for that can be multiple. No? It could be that the trigger is just so big that the moment they see it, they're like, wow, right? Or it could be that Alison says pineapple, but she can't find it. That's good. Can't find Wendy also. No worry, no worry.
I
Doesn't
think
doesn't
you're someone on my
okay.
wavelength. It takes me ages.
Yeah. So the other reason is, or can be, is that your dog is so used to going quickly, escalating into the red so quickly that it just becomes a go-to thing, right? So because we have lots and lots, the more rehearsals, the quicker it goes. Squirrels, is that the trigger for your dog, Emma? So, so the thing is, one way or the other, when our dogs are in the red, they are stressed, right? And so what we wanted to talk about a little bit is what stress is. Do you want to move on to the next slide?
By all means. So I'm just
I'm
trying
not
to
sure
get
if you're ready.
everything sorted. Blooming YouTube. Here we go.
Good. So today we want to talk a little bit about stress and arousal and the difference or not between them. So, um,
Do you want me to
ah,
talk through stress and arousal?
yeah, why not?
Okay.
Go for
So,
it.
and there is a subtle difference, but they are really linked together.
Yeah.
So, stress is kind of a lack of a fit between the perceived demands of the stuff that's going on around us and our perceived ability to be able to cope with these demands. So it's when we feel like, and we know it from ourselves, don't we? You think, oh, flipping heck, I can't do all these things. I can't cope. The demands that are being made of me are too many, and that makes us super duper stressed. And for our dogs, that might be the squirrel, for example, or the other dog, or whatever else. Now, arousal is really tied into stress because when you're stressed, you have a high level of arousal. Um, but what it really means, it's an increased level of emotional and physiological responsiveness. So it's when we're kind of really, ready and poised. It's not something, arousal isn't inherently positive or negative. It just is. And it can encompass various emotions. So you've got excitement, anxiety, fear, aggression, um, etc., etc. So two examples of dog that's in a high state of arousal, which will link into what we're going to be talking about over the next few days, is you've got a dog that is high level of arousal, feeling pretty stressed and freezes or hides under the bed or something like that, versus a dog high level of arousal, highly stressed, that's barking, lunging, etc. Those dogs are both showing a high level of arousal. Usually the dog that is freezing has a higher level of arousal than the barky, lungy one. That's kind of tends to be a step higher, but it's the one that we tend to notice probably less because it's not as loud and it doesn't pull on the lead quite as much if you've got a
Mm.
frozen dog. So they're both examples of a high level of arousal.
It's really interesting now because usually one doesn't associate arousal with a dog that's freezing or hiding under the couch, you know.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, they might be standing or lying there and hearts are pumping, because they're really scared.
Exactly.
So we have a bunch of, well, some comments here. So the squirrel being a trigger, one of many triggers for Emma's dog. For the reasons it's going to the vet is really stressful. And
Yes.
then Katrina shared that the techniques they're using for Freya's prey drive seem to be helping with her reactivity in other areas, question mark. Yeah, and that makes total sense, right? Because it's all about managing emotions. And the
Exactly.
better our dogs get at not stressing up or not getting so, up, but, calming themselves down, going up, down. The better they get at that, the better they are at coping with lots of things. So that makes a lot of sense,
Certainly
doesn't
does.
it, Julia? Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
So do you want to carry on or do you want me to? We have a
I
bunch of
I can
big
do this if
notes.
you want to. So one of
Yeah.
the things that's really important when we're looking at body language and we're trying to work out what the heck is going on is to think about the context. So we've come up with this thing that you can be accessing. What's the word I'm looking for? Acronym that you can be constantly using to ask yourself, what context are we talking about? What exactly is happening here? So you need to look at the place. Where is this body language or this behavior actually happening? Is it in the kitchen? Is it when you're on a walk? Whatever. Antecedent. So that means what's happened just before you see what you see. So what's happening just before? Did you see another dog? Were you preparing dinner? What was going on? Then we've got when. So what is happening? When is it at the moment? Is it that it's a particular time of day that you're starting to see this quite a lot? Super useful. And then surroundings. who's doing what. So that's you, your family, your other dog, other things in the environment. So what's happening in the surroundings. And we got to surroundings and just remembering that every single dog is different. So these things are going to be really important when it comes to looking at our body language and getting that individual language that your dog is talking to you. So that acronym PAWS, place, antecedent, when, surroundings. That should be quite helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, Kay. That's really good for journaling. We have a bunch more shares here, Kay. Also, vet is clearly a problem. Marcy says anything moving or a dog who barks at my dog will cause a reaction. Carol says getting a dimmer switch. And Kay Dunk, yeah, Kay says it's good for journaling. Okay, exactly. So we now what we now would like to go do is we want to go through a bunch of behaviors that are signs of arousal in your dogs. And um, as we go through those, I'd like you or we'd like you to share with us if any of these are behaviors that you see in your dog, right? If you recognize them. So things like, when the hackles go up, really fast, shallow breathing when they're excited, when you see really sharp edges on their pupils. Rapid heart rate is always a sign of arousal. Of course, we don't necessarily, for us, not necessarily observable. Flushed skin, shedding, they might pee or poop a lot. And then sometimes with some dogs, they get sudden onset of dandruff.
That's true. I took Hattie to the vets today, one of my dogs,
Mhm.
and that's something that she gets. She gets a little bit flaky and also that kind of, the fur going everywhere, the shedding, and the drooling, the frothy drooling that we've got.
Okay, so and we have a bunch of uh we have a bunch of those. Hackles up, Bodhi is alert because the chimney sweeps there. Mohawk all along her back, says Lorraine about her dog. Yeah, fast breathing, shedding at the vet, drooling on walks, breathing changes, fast panting, fast shallow breathing, penis crowning, which the kids think is hilarious, heckles up when the delivery driver approaches, fast breathing. That's the first flag for us, SK. Great, that's a good one to
Yeah.
observe. Heckles, fast breathing. One dog gets bile erection, the heckles, the other drools. Heckles when she meets other dogs, heckles and shedding. And then Carol says she can't see dandruff or hackles because the furs are too long. Hackles should still be
That's an
visible
interesting
though.
one, isn't it? Because that's one of those things where it really depends on the individual dog. And there are some
Mm,
of these bits of body language you cannot see on certain
mm.
coat types.
Yeah, large pupils, says Vera. Yeah, it can totally look like the pupils are enlarged, and then definitely the edges um
We've
how
got a
did it?
picture on this next, haven't
Yeah, we
we?
do. We do. Let's have a
Can
look
I
at
put
that.
that up? There we go, so that you can see what that looks like. So we've got two dogs here, familiar
Yeah.
dogs to Barbara.
Yeah, next I tried to get a picture. It's a kind of a bit hard to show in photograph, but I'm not sure if you can see the difference, but these dogs are very similar eyes. That's why I thought it might be good comparison. And one of them, no, that's not whale eye just yet, although the way now I was looking to the side, it
It
looks
looks a
almost
little
like one.
bit, yeah, there's a bit
Yeah,
of a
but
like.
that's not what this is about. It's really if you look at the pupils and the
Yeah.
brown around the pupils, both dogs have brown eyes, right? And then
Yeah.
if you the irises are brown, and then on the one dog, the black line is much sharper
So if
than
you
on
look
the
over
other.
here, that's much sharper.
Yeah.
Whereas here we've got that softer edge. You
Yeah.
can almost see it's kind of, if you look closely, you can see it's kind of the pupil and the iris are blending into each other,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we get lots more interesting body language here. And Carol says one has bigger pupils, exactly. And yeah,
It
yeah.
is cool,
So
isn't it, Marcy? I'm
yeah,
100% with you.
and you can see in the that's why I took the picture because both dogs are in the same room, same light conditions, looking in the same camera, and now I was kind of avoiding it. He's looking a bit to the side, hence you see the white around his eyes, but he's definitely the more relaxed one of the two in that situation, even though there's a bit of white. Um, cool. Shall we, because people are sharing lots of other
Yeah.
body. So if you see your dog in heightened arousal, try to keep looking for all these things. But a lot of these signs, the dog is not so these are involuntary, right? I mean, the dog can't help it. He feels a certain way. The eyes do this, the heart rate does that, the breathing changes, the hackles go up. The dogs don't really have control over that. But if you go to the next slide, then we see the behavioral signs of arousal. And those are things where the dog might look away. I think somebody already, shared that. Or, moving of the ears, closing or opening of the mouth, lots of things. Marking with back leg kicks. So again, if you've seen any of these things in your dogs, please share it with us. Right? Absolutely. Stalking for the border collies. Yes.
100% for your border collies, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What they do
And the
best.
one thing we wanted to talk about a little bit more is the tail,
Yes.
right? Um, if you have a look, so tail position is always relative to what is normal for the dog,
Mm.
right? Because different dogs have different natural um, uh, tail positions. And Julia, you might want to share a bit about
Yeah.
Hattie. There's Hattie
So
here in the
this
picture.
lovely little dog, the bottom left dog, that's my dog Hattie. And she was a rescue. She was previously a street dog, and she was super stressed when we first got her. Although you're absolutely right, Laura, that you said we're talking about arousal, not stress. But when you have stress, you also have arousal. So that kind of makes sense. But anyway, this is Hattie with her tail in its neutral position. But when we first got her, I thought that her tail was the sort like a Labrador tail. It was quite a relaxed down, that kind of otter tail, because that's how she carried it all the time when we first had her. But it was because of her level of arousal. When she's relaxed, the tail goes up and it curls over her body, like you can see in that picture there. So that's her neutral tail position, whereas the stress is actually the tail down, which is not necessarily even between the legs, just down straight. Um,
Hmm.
Whereas
So we have a
Katrina's just said Freya's tail is high when she's aroused because that's not her neutral position. That's exactly right. It's a great example.
mm, mm. And we've got lots of shares here about what people observe in their dogs, and also some good questions. So Laura asked, these are arousal behaviors, not stress.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, stress, arousal and stress are really closely linked. So if you think about what arousal does to the body, the shallow breathing, what we didn't talk about is the digestive system stops. The stress is hard on the body, and arousal is a form of stress. It's just, as Julia said, not necessarily negative, right? But the physical, what goes on in the body is still stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hear people distinguish between eustress and other stress, right? You say the one is when the dog is having fun, the other one is when the dog is having emotions that are not pleasant. But in the end, I always seem it's all work for the body. So we're not dividing it quite so much. So a dog that is constantly over aroused, even if it's excitement, is not healthy in the long run.
Exactly. And so
It's not healthy
Emma's
for the
asked,
dog
what does
sometimes.
the tail mean on a walk? And Emma, that really just depends. And I think that's the crucial point with a lot of these things is being having that awareness of what normal looks like for your dog with these
Hmm.
kind of. So with the tail, how do they carry it normally when they're relaxed? And then a change from that is an indicator that there's an increase in arousal level.
Yeah, exactly. So if you look at the other picture here, this is Noah on a peanut. This is I just took what you call it, like a screenshot from a video, and he's doing body work, and he's just balancing on this peanut. Now, I don't know if you can see his tail is like curled under his body. You see this?
Mhm.
And in most graphics, if you just saw this picture out of context, you would think this is a dog that is scared,
Yeah.
right? Because the tail goes under his body, but it's got to do with his balancing. So very often when he's in balancing positions, he'll bring his tail under like that. Or if I stack him on a couple of pods or something, he might bring his tail under like that. Whereas his neutral tail carriage is just, hanging down. And when he's
Exactly.
excited, it goes up. Anyway. Um,
Another one that I wanted to just highlight here was the
mhm.
closing or opening mouth, because it's
Yep.
another thing that you hear, isn't it? That a relaxed dog, low arousal, will have the mouth open, high arousal will have the mouth closed. But again, it's actually the transition between the two. So it can work both ways around.
Yeah.
It's not
Exactly.
quite as easily cut than that as
Yeah.
that.
We've got a video
Was
I
that
can share
next?
both. Well, it's actually one, but we can go the other way around. I've got one for stalking. Well, let's just go to slide number 9, to the next slide, and have a look. It's a short video of my two dogs, and let's see if you guys what behaviors you notice. We can play it. It's very short, so we can play it a couple of times.
Was that the end?
That's the end, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you notice what was?
Shall I pop it on again?
Yeah, why not?
If I can work out how to do that, evidently. I don't know how to restart it. Do I do that?
It should be able to just click on it and then
Oh,
play
yes,
it.
I can. Of course, I can. Silly me. And if you just pop in the comments what you see,
Emma noticed the head turning. Mouse is
excellent.
asking for a replay. There we go. Stalking Saskia, yes, and a look away. Yeah. So it's not a lot that's happening. If you know the dog, you can see he's moving really weirdly with his back legs, very stiff. He doesn't normally, walk like that. Um, and that is all it takes to get the other dog to get up. And then, yeah, Janet, and then the other dog gets up and moves. Yeah, because
Yeah.
just being stalked like that makes him, yeah. Laura says the other dog wants to go past, but it's not comfortable about it. He actually wants the other dog to get up. Well, I see, the one that we saw moving is, in high arousal. The other dog just came in a moment before and lay down there. And that triggered the younger dog to want and get him to move. So that it's an interaction that I see quite a bit happening. And this is again why we need to put the things into context, right? We need to know what is happening, who's involved, where is it happening, when is it happening, and what happened just before. It's all really, really important.
Yeah. And Lynette says her reactive guy wouldn't have stalked. He'd have just plow ahead like a bull in a china shop. And exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And you know that's what your dog would do because they're
Yeah.
different personalities.
Yeah. Okay. And then if you go to the next Slide. We have an
I will
open
attempt
and
to.
close.
It's not letting me. Oh, there we go. Is that the next one? Yes.
Yeah. So this is also super short, and I hope you can see if you just watch the dog's mouth. Air biting, says Marcy. Well, he's actually barking, but I was
He
going
is
to spell
actually
it out, so we
barking.
took
Yeah,
the
no,
sound
I'm
off.
Kate's excited.
Yeah. But he's also, can you see how he gets his cookie? So his mouth is nice open, right? Then he gets his treat, and then he closes it in anticipation of the cue, because he gets really excited. Yeah, no, of course, Marty, don't worry about it.
So he's got the
Yeah,
mouth open there,
yeah.
and then he closes it there, and he gets his treat. And then what am I going to do? So, nice open mouth there, gets his treat. Oh, I just missed it because he was just before there. That was when his mouth was closed, waiting. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. So, and because, it gets, and he's forcefully taking the treat. Absolutely.
100%.
Yes, Marcy, totally true. Okay. Shall we move? I'm just um getting aware of the time. Shall we move to the next one?
Yes, we've chatted
We've got
there.
more arousal behaviors.
What we
So
will
again,
do is we can make these lists available. We're going to create a
I'll
guide
send
in the Facebook group, and we might email it some bits out as well, so
yeah,
you can have
will as
these
well.
lists available to you. So you don't need to
Yeah.
make a note of them all now. Okay,
Yeah.
displacement. So, do we mean by displacement? Well, it's really when a dog
I
does
think we
something.
jumped one. I think we jumped one. We have behavior signs of arousal, slide
Three.
2.
Oh, two. Okay. Let's go back
Yeah.
there then. I thought I had that one up
Um,
before.
because yep, Lorraine, we will. We
We
will.
will.
So the jerky movements, the stalking that Falky was doing in that video, and then also because sometimes when he stalks, he does the usual the typical border collie crouch, you know. But here he was like really making funny movements with his back legs, the jerky movements. And then have any of you seen your dogs shaking or teeth chattering? When they're excited about maybe when you play with them, or retrievers will often display that when you're about to throw the dummies for them. And the whining, yes, Marcy, absolutely. In that video that we just saw of Noah, there is quite a lot of vocalization, the barking, and then also some whining. And then so again, if you see any of this, and remember, pause. Remember when you think now about your the behaviors that you recognize, when does that normally happen? What is the context, right? And I put a screenshot out of that video that we just saw, and I mean, you don't know Noah as well as I do, but his mouth is looking really weird here. And that's when they pull the
They do
mouth,
that.
the lips tight, and they bring
Don't
in
they?
the, hey, say again?
It's when they do that. Those
Yeah,
bits go tight there, so they don't get that
yeah,
jowly
yeah, totally.
bit.
So these are really subtle things, and it's very easy to miss, especially when they're mixed in with other more obvious stuff. So in Noah's case, he gets quite aroused in training often, and then the biking and jumping might overshadow all these other things. But other dogs might only show you the tightening of the lips, or the same dog in another context might not jump or bark because they're trying to keep a low profile, or a lower profile, but I'm interpreting it as just nonsense, right? But they might tighten the mouth like that, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, let's go to
Slide
Oh,
3.
Penny says my dog's teeth chatter when she sniffs. Here we go. And sniffing was one of the arousal behaviors too, right? And
Yeah,
often we think of sniffing as like a really calming thing. And it always all depends, right? I know you're saying that doesn't help. Everything depends. But it's all about the context and it's all about knowing our dogs.
exactly. Cool. So this is slide 3. So we've got jumping. I like the poor use for digging at or hitting objects or people. I think we've all seen a dog like that. I've got one. Um,
Yeah.
that loss of focus. I mean, that's a classic, isn't it? When you're walking the dog and your dog is highly aroused, they're not focusing on you at all. They can't do anything that you normally would easily do together. That's huge. Um,
Oh,
were you going to say something?
yeah, I forgot to put the video of the shake off.
Oh, don't worry. We
I
can
can
pop
put
that
it
in
in
somewhere else, can't we? Unless you
Yeah.
want to put it in now. But the also that intense focus, so a tense focus on something else, which we can't interrupt. A tail wagging, leaning forward. It's like that shift of weight forward, really, isn't it? The bark and the shake off. I find the shake off a really interesting behavior,
Mm,
and usually it's a great idea to think about what happened just previously to the shake off, because it's almost like a release of tension. It's like a ooh, kind of thing, which is
exactly.
super
Yeah.
useful. Just having a
So
little look.
I
Oh, we've
put
got
it
some
in the
teeth
next
chattering.
slide.
Okay, cool. Is it there?
It should be.
Let's find out. Yay!
You.
Let's shake off there, Della.
Here we go. Right. So nothing much was happening. The two dogs are just standing there looking at each other. Did you notice the head turn? Right?
Try it
I mean,
again.
Falcon isn't doing anything overly aggressive, to our eyes, but enough for Noah to look away. You can see every time. And then he moves a little bit and then he shakes off that tension that happened there. So it's really super subtle and easy to miss. One looks away instead of greeting the other dog. Yep.
Yeah,
It turns, but the dog was staring intently. Exactly, Marcy.
he
Yeah.
was.
Ears were back. Yeah. No, exactly. So often when dogs get into a fight or had a aggressive looking interaction, and people phone me to tell me about it, and then they say this one started it. He was the first one to lunge or to growl or attack the other dog or go forward or whatever. And first of all, it doesn't really matter. It's not like who started the fight. It's just there is none of the dogs are right or wrong in any case. They're just expressing how they're feeling in a given situation. But also a lot of these behaviors might not be noticed.
Exactly. And I think particularly when you have multiple dogs, and any scenario, so it could be if you're walking more than one dog, it could be more than one dog at home. And the dog whose behavior that you see as being, the issue, the highly aroused, the reactive, the whatever, sometimes that's not the dog that's got the real big emotions going on. It might be one of the other dogs, which the other dog that you see the behavior from is really picking up from. And I see that an awful lot. An
Yeah.
awful lot.
And Lorraine is asking, can you compare kinds of staring at other dogs? Is it intimidation? Can it be just calm curiosity? So the thing is, if a dog keeps looking at the other dog and doesn't look away, that is normally perceived, well, if there's any duration with it, the other dog will find that intense. They
Exactly.
don't, so normally dogs would uh look away, look away, right? That's how they communicate. We've got some examples of that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um Janice says one look from the sheltie makes the bestie freak and bite things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a displacement behavior, the biting. That's a great segue.
It really is, isn't it?
So Loren says, how will the dog know what it is who's being stared at?
She's up for waiting till tomorrow to find that one
Okay,
out.
cool. All right, good. And let's have a
I'll
look
keep
at
you on
let's have a
tenterhooks and
look at
bring you back.
Okay, let's have a look at the next slide with the displacement behaviors, and you'll see there's quite a bit of repetition because these are just labels. The reason we call them displacement behavior, maybe we should explain what that means,
100%.
Julia.
Yeah. So a displacement behavior is a behavior that a dog does in order to detract, take them away from the thing that they're a little bit worried about or concerned about. So, I mean, here's some great examples here. So it might be they're on they're a bit worried about a bicycle over there, right? I'm going to just sniff some stuff because that's going to help them to calm themselves down. So that's a displacement behavior. It's just doing something different. Frequent peeing and marking, really, really common, isn't it? That's one where you've got that dog that wheezes all the time on the walk. And again, it's because that dog has that high, that it's stressed, it's got quite a high level of arousal. So it's just finding some stuff to do that stop it focusing so much on the scary thing. So yeah.
Mm. And I think we might have so the sniffing, we had sniffing before, right? We had some of the scratching. I don't know if you had that before,
Don't think
but
so.
that is a pretty typical thing. And um, licking, the zoomies. Everybody's probably familiar with the zoomies. Katrina puts it, yeah, zoomies. Yeah. So tail chasing, when Stevie first came to us, she did that quite a bit. Little puppy. So I don't know if that was a probably lesser displacement behavior than like, oh, what's this? It stopped now. Yeah, Kathleen, laying down on a walk and scratching himself on the sidewalk.
Totally.
Definitely.
Totally 100%.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, dokes. And then barking can also be a displacement behavior. And then we have another list.
Although Emma's noticed her dog peeing a lot. And in fact, actually, super
Mm.
interesting. Again, when we went to the vets today with hats, and last time she went to the vet, she had an operation, so she wasn't very happy about it. And for the first time ever, she did pee on the weighing scales. And that was a total displacement behavior because she's like, I don't want to be here. Don't blame her.
Yeah, and
Yeah. So the some other displacement behaviors, drinking water, that's more in the home, obviously. That kind of,
well,
I suppose, would be in the
interestingly,
household.
I had
Go
that
on.
today because I took Stevie to the vet today. She had to get her last shot. And and she went to the water bowl a bunch of times,
Yeah,
which she
interesting.
hasn't done on previous visits. It's quite interesting. She was a bit more tired today too, but yeah, I thought it was really interesting. So water has to be available for the dogs to do it as a displacement, obviously, but it can totally be one. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some that I think are really interesting here again. So humping, for example. So when people think, Why does my neuter dog or my female dog hump? Here we go. It's a displacement behavior. It's just it shows that they have a heightened arousal and they're trying to cope with it. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And then the thing with the grabbing of bones, toys, etc., that is something I see a lot. Noah does that. Somebody comes to visit, he will grab whatever is lying around
Mm.
and carry it to his bed, right? And hold it in his mouth.
Yeah. And you sometimes get people who say when you go around to their house, oh, look, he's brought you his toy. It's actually a displacement behavior they're
Mm,
carrying.
mm.
Especially with things like spaniels. They like doing that kind of thing, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Oops, right. Have I just gone one too quickly? I don't know. I felt like, no, we're good. We're good.
Mm.
So, are there any questions? Drop them in the chat. And then
Okay,
we've
here's
got some
a
homework for you. Oh, we've got to do our little competition as well, haven't we?
yeah. Okay, so um hang on, here was one. Kathleen is asking, would carrying a toy be a good displacement behavior to encourage? When we pass a lot of traffic, I can sometimes, oops, that went, engage in a little game of tag to ensure that we can keep moving. Okay, so yes, totally. So the carrying of some picking up something that Nawa does is totally because I totally encourage that.
Mm.
So initially, he got super, super overexcited when people came to visit, jumping and vocalizing, and like, it was really, really hard. So I would give him a bone to chew on, and then he would um, release a lot of tension just by like chomping away on his bone. And now this has become the thing that he does. So there's always something that he can grab. Um, so when somebody comes, he will like look for the nearest toy or whatnot and hold it. So I find it very useful, and you can absolutely use it on your walks.
Definitely. And it
Yeah.
makes the dog feel better as well, doesn't it? It's like they've got something to do, and we're all about having the dog feeling better. Are there any other questions? Oh, here we go. How can we handle the jumping with overexcitement and arousal at greetings? I mean, how you handle it, is kind of a different, it's sort of the next step along. At the moment, we're looking at, right, what are we noticing? What can we see? How can we get our dogs to communicate with us?
Mm.
So,
Yeah, so I think the
Mhm.
first step, why this is important, is to understand that the dog is not naughty. They're not jumping up because they don't have any manners, right? Even though we call it a manners class, where we teach something about it. Um, it is because the dog is super excited or potentially worried. So the other day I had a visitor, and um my three dogs, and also there's a foster dog on the property, my neighbor's dog. They were all um, three out of the four were clearly scared of this visitor. A guy with a beard and a hat on, classic. And then the oldest one, Nawa, he was very forward. He went up to the person. He jumped up quite a bit and carried on doing that, whereas the others were all barking and keeping a distance and preferred to be somewhere else while he was in the room. And of course, the guest thought Noah is the bestest. He's my friend, and he was petting him. However, knowing my dog, I know that that is how Noah was, it was stressful for him too, and that is how he was expressing it. He was being friendly, yes, from the guest's perspective, but I was keeping a good eye on it, because that jumping up and constantly going close it was how he was expressing that he was worried about this person.
We'll talk
If he
more
was
about this
totally
in the next
relaxed,
day or
yeah,
two. Yeah.
yeah, we wouldn't have needed to do that. So what you need to, in the first step is to recognize that that is an expression of how your dog is feeling in that situation. And it's to do with arousal and excitement, most likely, or it could be something else. Doesn't matter what it is, but the dog is expressing that. And that we need to address first, right? Any training plan
Absolutely.
then will follow.
And then Anne's asked, how can we help them come down when over aroused outside? So lots of zoomies around the yard. I'd be doing calming things. I'd be, helping them to do things that we know are naturally calming. You're sniffing, chewing, that kind of thing that your dog might choose to do. They might need a little snooze in a chill out space, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so the thing is exactly, it depends on that's the thing, right? Every dog is different.
Mm.
There's never a one fits all solution. You want to change how they feel, and how you do that depends on the context. And the first, it's your dog's individuality, the situation that it's in the context of your family and living space, etc. And that is why if we go back to our PAWS acronym, to start noticing and to write down what the context is using PAWS, right? The place, the antecedent, what happened before the zoomies started, and antecedent, when does it happen, and what are the surroundings, right? Who's involved?
Fantastic. Okie dokie.
All right.
And Vera, can we say that displacement behaviors are ways of coping? And yes, they kind of are. Yeah. And that's where you can see different displacement behaviors for different dogs. It's kind of how do I deal with this? I
Yeah.
want to pretend it's not really happening.
Yeah. So we probably should have done this a little bit earlier, but um, we want to, yeah, you go, you take it away, Julia.
Okay, I'm going to just stop the share for a second so that I can see everything that I need to be able to see. Right, so here's the plan. We said in the emails that there would be some giveaways, and that is indeed true. Amazon voucher giveaways. So, what we're going to do is today we will be giving away we're going to do in US dollars, just to keep it easy. We're going to give away today a $10 US Amazon voucher. Tomorrow it'll be $20. And on Thursday it'll be $30, but only for people that are there live at the time. So, in order to go in the draw for today, which I will do hopefully quite quickly, what I would love you to do is could you put a emoji of a star in the comments, please. And then everybody that puts a star emoji in the comments will be entered. And I will, if I can do it while we're live, I will. If I can't, I won't.
No, try to do it now.
Huh?
Let's try to do it now. Here's a star.
So we've got
So
Lorraine.
while you do that,
Yeah.
and you guys are posting your emojis, yeah, Katrina, like lots of stars. I can maybe talk about the homework. So we
Perfect.
have a piece of homework for you guys for tomorrow, and that is we would like you to observe your dog when they're doing something that's exciting for them, right? So that could, for example, be when it's feeding time, at dinner time, or it could be when they're playing, right? Anything goes, doesn't matter. It could anything that is exciting for your dog, but please don't make them, don't, we're not talking about getting your dog stressed. Something where your dog might be having fun or is going to be excited. And we would like you to video that, right? And look for arousal and or displacement behaviors. Yeah. And use the PAWS framework to get a better idea of the context or make it complete explicit. You guys probably have a good idea, but I want you to really make explicit what you see, describe what you see, and put it in the in context using the PAWS acronym. And then we would love for you to share either your pictures and videos and your observations, or just your observations in the Facebook group.
Okay, so it's all good for
Penny, we
those of you
enter
that
you
can't
anyways.
find
Penny can't
stars.
find the emoji.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm on it. I'm looking down all the comments so I can see those of you that haven't found them. Lots of people entering. I'm struggling to keep up, but we're getting there. So if you want to enter, if you can put your comment in now.
And then can you, when you have a chance, can you put the homework slide up?
I
Just,
will. I just need to do this because when I've
yes,
got
I
the slides
understand.
up, I can't do anything else, which is a bit annoying. Arousal doesn't have to be bad, says Mars. It's absolutely right. Okay. And Catherine. So far, we're nearly there. We're nearly there. So glad I did that tough touch typing course when I was 23 or something. Right, brilliant. So we have 31 people who have entered. So I've just typed them all in. My next plan is going to be I'm going to do a random number generator. And I want it to go from 1 to 31. And the number it is generated for me is 29. And number 29 on my list is Debbie Bossano Cubios. If I've said your name right, Debbie, then I'm quite proud. Well done, Debbie. What I would love you to do, I'm going to bob our email address in the chat. Could you please drop us an email saying, hi, I was the winner, and we can get that sorted for you. Um, Actually, Barbara, could you bob that
Congratulations.
in the chat for me?
Yeah, yeah.
That would be really helpful. Then I can do the share thing. I
Bunny, diddy,
found
diddy.
it. Ha, that was exciting. And just remember, it's the stakes are increased tomorrow, so that's quite exciting. So I'm going to pop the homework slide up for you.
But we have to get slicker about this. Tomorrow we will be
I
slick.
know. It's very annoying, isn't it? There we go.
Okay,
There we are.
here's our email address. Yeah, Debbie. Yeah, and it's the same time tomorrow. And are you all cool about your homework? Sounds bad.
I used to be a teacher. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, yeah, true, true, true. But we would love to see some pictures of your dogs, but also definitely your observations. I always say the thing with the body language, it's a bit like dreams, right? The moment you wake up, it's so vivid and so clear. And unless you write it down or immediately go to tell a person, you forget the whole dream. By lunchtime, you're not
So
able
true.
to tell anybody anymore. So it's the same with body language. In order to see more, you need to really notice and then you need to describe it. That's really
Exactly.
important. So pictures will be great. And if Penny found the star, yay!
Woohoo, Penny! You were in though, Penny, don't worry.
Yeah. Okay, so the activity for tomorrow, video your dog when they're excited, look for arousal or displacement behaviors, note the context using pause, and then share your observation and a photo here in the Facebook group, please.
Yes, exactly. So please share all those things. What we will do is there's a recording of this that we'll create a guide
Yeah.
in the Facebook group. So the recording will be uploaded in there. And we will also, for everybody that's signed up, we can send copies. We'll do a little PDF and send copies of the slides should we do that via email? Do you think?
Yeah, yeah, we will email that.
Yeah, we can
That's why
email
we
those
wanted
over
you
to
to
you.
sign up so we
That's the
can,
easiest way to do. Probably
yeah,
be tomorrow. We'll do that. We'll get
yeah,
those out to you.
yeah.
But you'll be able to watch the replay at any point from now anyway. So if you want to go and review that, you're more than
Okay.
welcome to do that. And we will see you all.
Marcy, that's entirely up to you. You can post the video, you can post photos, but most importantly, some of your observations would be great.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we really hope you found it helpful. And then tomorrow we'll talk about behaviors dogs use to um, uh, increase distance between them and something that they're worried about. It's super interesting.
And we've got another
Yeah.
giveaway. So make sure you're there.
And more giveaways, yes. So please do come join us live
It's
again.
only open the competitions for people that are joining us live. So we will see you guys. Let me stop that so you can see us. We will see you guys the same time tomorrow.
Yeah.